Welcome to all in your YouTube channel NCERT E-Teaching Decoding NCERT. I am Dr. Kailash Meena, going to explain and discuss about the first chapter of class 11th biology, that is the living world. While explaining this chapter, I will not follow the normal routine of explaining a normal chapter, because this is very special class for us. We are going to introduce this subject of biology. So I will try to make this video more interesting and generalized for all people who want to introduce to biology. So this is an introductory chapter for class 11th biology, as well as other students and people also who want to introduce themselves about biology. So let's start. So in this chapter, the first topic I would like to discuss is what is living. So here we start our biology by discriminating what is living and what is non-living. Now, after watching this complete video, this is going to be a little bit longer video, because there are many concepts to be discussed here before starting our syllabus of biology. So the learning outcomes for this section, this particular video, are for you students is to identify the basic characteristics of life, and you will be able to distinguish among levels of biological organization. Before understanding these topics, you need a certain understanding of biology from class 6th to class 10th. You have been learning biology in the subject science as a section from class 6th to class 10th. So from class 6th you have learned about food and nutrients. In class 7th you learned about photosynthesis, reproduction in plants, and digestion and other processes in animals. Then in class 8th you learned about cells, diseases, reproduction in humans. Then in class 9th you again introduced by cells, tissues, diversity and diseases. Again in class 10th you learned about human reproduction, nervous system, hormonal system and other aspects of biology, ecology and ecosystems. So in this video I will conclude all the knowledge you have gained from class 6 to class 10th of biology. So we will make connections about among those particular sections of biology. Now, so the previous knowledge we need to start this chapter from your previous curriculum of class 6 to class 10th is very simple. First we need to understand what is science, because till now from class 6 to 10th you have studied biology in the subject science, not biology as a separate subject. So what is science? First we need to understand, and after understanding the science we need to understand what is biology. So this little simple but conceptual knowledge we need before we start this video or before we are going further. So what is science? Science is a pedagogy or system of ideas or concepts. By following those concepts or those techniques we learned or we know about something. So science is all about following the scientific method. What is scientific method? Like we always does, we observe things and then we make assumptions about those things, and this is how we are identifying our outer world. Since the time of our birth, when we became conscious about our surroundings, our parents gave us education. They sold mother and father, they sold our curiosity. Then we went to school, then our teachers and friends, of course, they sold our curiosity about curriculum as well as the normal life. So this is how we learned about the about ourselves and the environment. And one more thing, we also learned by our observations and our experiences. So the scientific method is somewhat different from normal method. How it is different? It do not rely on other people's opinions, other people's education. Scientific method depends on your own observations, of course by using a particular technique or by using technologies also, and by using the history of scientists. Many people have previously learned and discovered many concepts. So by having those ideas, we make observations and we make conclusions. And while making your scientific projects also, whether it was a National Children's Science Congress or JNNSME or science exhibition or Olympiads, Inspire Awards, in everything, in every project where the science was involved, we followed this method. So this method is very simple. Step 1, to make observations. Step number 2, to formulate a hypothesis. By our observation, what we think at that time, that is a hypothesis. Then we test our idea, then we conduct some experiments or surveys or some calculations, and finally we draw conclusions and make corrections if any. So this is how we make hypothesis and prove hypothesis, and this is how we make theories also. If our hypothesis is confirmed, then it is called theory. For example, the evolutionary theory or the gravitational theory. So this is the brief introduction of scientific method. Now here comes the topic of class 11th biology, that is the living world. So our first chapter is the living world, and we need to understand about the properties of life, the properties or the characters which makes living things different from non-living things. So what are those properties? So again, the previously we were discussing what is science. Now biology is the branch of science which deals with living organisms. So what is biology? Biology is the scientific study of living things. Study of living things which is scientific. So by following the scientific method which we have discussed, if we follow that method and then we study living things, it is called biology. And now why biology is relevant, why we need to study biology? Of course we need to study biology to complete our curriculum, to make us able to compete in several examinations, to educate ourselves, to get opportunities, for example NEET examination or other medical entrance examinations. And of course why biology is so relevant today, because at this time we have an accumulation of the knowledge, because so many discoveries have been happened in previous 100 years or 50 years. So now we have many ideas, many concepts, many proven theories which may satisfy our curiosity, which previously we were not able to solve those queries. So until now, even though many things have been proven, but many of our friends or many of our fellows are ignorant about those facts. Still they believe that those things cannot be proven, or they have misconceptions about many things which already have proven. So that is why we need to understand biology. So one more thing, what are the properties of life? So the study of living organisms is called biology. And how we will differentiate between living and non-living? It seems very simple. If you imagine any animal or any bird or any insect or lizard, and then you imagine a stone or a chair or sofa, you can easily differentiate what is living or what is non-living. But when it comes to define living things, you may feel difficulty, because when I ask this question from my students, for many times they will say that okay sir, living things can move, non-living things cannot move, living things can respond, non-living things cannot respond. But nowadays we are seeing so many technology, the vehicles are moving on the road, fan is moving, computers and television sets and DVD players, they are responding to stimuli from remote control. So it is very difficult to define anything. Or even when we throw stones on a tree, it will not respond. So by seeing the response, by seeing the movement, by seeing other things which we may think that it is by those features we can define living things and non-living things, but it is not as simple as that. So here are some features which are essential to discriminate from living things to non-living things. What are those features? We will discuss 5 features. There are several features, and they are different in different books, but we will take the most important 5 ones. Number 1 is cellular organization. All living things have cells. That is why we have learned about cells in class 11th and class 9th. Then the second feature is metabolism. Living things have metabolism. What are those things? These things I will discuss in my further slides. Next, living things show homeostasis. Then they also show growth and reproduction. And finally, they have heredity or transfer of characters from one generation to next. So these features are the most important or common features of living organisms. We will discuss these features one by one. Now, the first thing, cellular organization. In your class 7th, the chapter number 1, nutrition in plants, we have learned about cells in a box or a very short introduction. Then in class 8, we learned about cells in chapter number 8 in detail, quite detail. And then in class 9th, we learned about the cells, the fundamental unit of life in chapter number 5 in class 9. So why cells are so important? Because cells are the fundamental unit of life. They are the structural unit of life. They are the functional unit of life. Every living structure is made up of cells. Every living creature is made up of cells. Nothing less than cell is considered as alive. If any structure is not showing cellular structure, then we cannot say it is alive. For example, viruses or virus which spread some diseases, they do not have any cellular structure. That is why scientists do not categorize them into living organisms. They do not classify in the living organisms. If you remember in the diversity in living organisms chapter number 7, class 9th, then you may have an idea that you didn't read about viruses in Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae, Animalia. None of those 5 kingdoms from R.H. Whitaker. So a living organism must have cells. So cells, we have studied a lot about cells in class 9th and class 8th, but now here I am showing only a diagram of plant cell and animal cell, and there is one familiar example of amoeba here. This is amoeba, and then one bacterial cell also, because so that we have an idea or recalling of prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells also. Of course, plant cells, animal cells, and amoeba is a eukaryotic cell because they all have nucleus, and bacteria is a prokaryotic cell. So this is the first character of living organisms. Sometimes we think that by growth and reproduction we can differentiate between living organisms and non-living organisms, but it is not feasible all the time, because living organisms do not reproduce at all the time, or sometimes non-living things may seem to grow. For example, crystals grow or sand dunes grow, but the cellular structure is the key factor. Cellular structure is the solid foundation of living organisms. So this is the first and very important character of living organisms. Next is the metabolism. What is metabolism? Cells are closed systems which require a amount of energy to maintain that system, and that energy is gained from nutrition, which we have studied in class 7th, nutrition in plants, nutrition in animals. We all are talking about nutrition from class 6th, the carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins. So what we do with that nutrition, what plants will do with that nutrition, what animals will do with that nutrition. For example, we have studied chapter number 2, digestion in human beings, in class 7th. Then we studied in life processes, chapter number 6, class 10th, about digestion. So after digestion, what happens? We absorb those nutrients, then those nutrients will go in our bloodstream, then finally they will go to cells, and there they metabolize. So what does these words metabolism and metabolize means? These words signifies the chemical reactions which are happening within cells and outside the cells in living organisms. So metabolism is the sum total of all chemical reactions. There are two types of chemical reactions. One is degradative and the another one is synthetic. So the synthetic reactions, for example photosynthesis, where plants are synthesizing carbohydrates, protein synthesis, where our cells are synthesizing proteins, and another degradative reactions, for example respiration in cells. So these all types of reactions, all types of chemical reactions are called metabolism. Then those chemicals or those molecules which are involved in those reactions which are happening inside and outside cells in living organisms are called metabolites. So we are not going in detail of these theories. I want only one familiarity with the metabolism. Metabolism means cells or living organisms have some set of chemical reactions which are called metabolism, and this is why photosynthesis is useful for plants, and this is why digestion is useful for us, because of metabolism. And because of metabolism, cells are able to produce ATP molecules. Now the next feature is homeostasis. This is a new word for you, I think, and this is also not mentioned in the NCERT, but this is very common property of living organisms. Homeostasis is the property of living organisms in which living organisms maintain their internal environment. Every living creature, either it is a bacteria or an amoeba or a human being or plant or any animal, have a complex set of chemicals or complex system of cells or tissues. So they need to maintain their internal environment by expenditure of energy, which is available in the form of ATP molecules from the mitochondria in eukaryotic, in case of eukaryotic cells. So homeostasis is the characteristic or is the feature to maintaining our internal environment. For example, we have learnt about our body temperature in the chapter number 3 heat from class chapter number 4 heat from class number 7th, that we have a constant temperature of 37 degrees centigrade. So that is also an example of homeostasis, how we are able to maintain that constant temperature. So I am here giving only brief introduction of those features which are characteristic of living organisms. So now the next very important feature is growth and reproduction. Growth and reproduction is very important feature for living organisms. Living organisms grow and living organisms reproduce, and this is very important feature also if you want to discriminate between life and non-life. Previously I was saying that it is not 100% discriminatory feature, but yes, it is although very useful. So here are some pictures which will give you an idea about reproduction in different type of animals, and I am sure you have seen similar type of images from your class 6 to 10th curriculum. The reproduction in mammals, bacteria, insects, hydra and another mammal, marsupial, sorry. Next, heredity. So heredity here refers to the characters, the transfer of characters from one cell to another, and this is applicable for reproduction also plus growth also, because for growing we need to multiply our cells. So if we are multiplying our cells, then we are multiplying the genetic information also. And for a very brief introduction, we all know from our class 9th introduction of cells or from class 8th introduction of cells that cells, eukaryotic cells do have nucleus, and nucleus contains some chromosomes, and chromosome is made up of a molecule which is called DNA, which is hereditary material or the genetic material of living organisms. In prokaryotic cells, although there is no nucleus, but yes, DNA is present in prokaryotic cells also, and this heredity, we can trace this heredity from that molecule. We will learn more about DNA and the mechanisms of heredity in class 12th. So here only one thing to know, that our genetic material is DNA, which we can find in chromosomes in the nucleus of a eukaryotic cell, and complete set of DNA or complete genetic information is called genome, and we also have sequenced the human genome also by using several technology. You are also going to learn about those technologies in class 12 also. So these are the features of living organisms. So these properties of life we need to understand and remember for our class 11th curricula. Now I am taking another topic which is not as such mentioned in our NCERT, but it is very useful for understanding the theme of biology from class 11 to class 12, from class 6 to class 8, or from class 9 to class 10th. The theme is the connectivity from one level to the higher level. What is that connectivity? You can, if you see the picture, you will automatically understand what I am trying to say, that this whole universe is made up of tiny particles which are called atoms, and you better know that those atoms are also composed of subatomic particles, for example electron, proton or neutron. So we have atoms plus we have molecules, the combinations of atoms, and here I want to introduce one thing which is called emergent properties. For example, oxygen have another property, hydrogen have another property, but water do not have properties of oxygen and hydrogen. It will have some new properties of water. Carbon dioxide will not have the properties of carbon or oxygen. It will have another property of carbon dioxide. These new properties are called emergent properties, and we will see these properties in several levels. For example, small molecules can become large molecules by making chemical bonds, let's say covalent bonds or hydrogen bonds or ionic bonds or van der Waals interaction. Finally, these macromolecules are actually making cell organisms, and those cells are combining to make unicellular colonies or multicellular organisms. For example, we have learned in the chapter tissues, chapter number 6 in class 9th. Then these tissues make organs, then organs make organ system. Again, all organs individually have another properties, and finally the organ system have new properties which are called emergent properties. Finally, the collection of organs is called an organism, and this level of complexity never ends here. It will continue to become population of same type of organisms, and all same type of organisms in the biosphere are called a species. Species you have introduced, you must have introduced species in class number 10th when you learned about biodiversity and conservation, that the organisms which are same type in many sense, in terms of reproduction, in terms of their similarities, are called species, and these species are found naturally in common patches in particular geographical area in particular time, and those groups are called population. You need not to bother about these technical terms now, because I am giving you the brief introduction of whole biology. So you need to only connect those things, and if you have any difficulty in these words or new concepts, you can rewatch this video and you can underline those words. You can ask me personally about those words, or by commenting in the comment box, or you can personally ask me in our WhatsApp group which is for students. Now same in any particular geographical area in particular period of time, there is not availability of same type of members. There are many type of species living together in one particular geographical area, and that group is called community. And finally, all communities are called biosphere or biomes. So this is how levels of organizations are there, from atom to small molecules to large molecules to cell organisms to cells, then unicellular organisms, then cell specialization, tissues, organs, organ systems, again organism, then populations, then population plus community, then biomes, and finally biosphere. So this is how from atoms to biomolecules this organism, and this organism never ends further. It will again go to solar system, to galaxies, and from subatomic level also. So this level of organization we will see in our textbook also. We will learn about these biosphere issues in our final chapters of class 12th. So this theme we are also following in our class 11th and 12th biology curriculum. So by making this video, I wanted to give you a brief introduction of biology, how biology looks like, what we are going to study in our 2 years curriculum, and I wanted to convey the properties of life, which is very relevant from our chapter number 1. And one more thing, for session 2020-21, all students are requested to go through the revised syllabus, because of this COVID situation, many topics have been removed from each unit or from many chapters. So from this chapter there were 4 topics: properties of life, scientific nomenclature or biological nomenclature, then classification and tools for taxonomy. So two topics have been deleted. The tools of taxonomy and the detailed introduction of classification have been removed, but yes, brief introduction is always there, and some introduction of domains or kingdoms is there. So in my next video I will discuss the evolutionary tree of life. We will have an idea of kingdom, domain, species, and you also have studied in chapter number 7, class 9th, the diversity in living organisms. Because this topic has been removed from class 11th, it will be very useful if you can revisit that idea. If you are able to read chapter number 7 again from class 9th science book, it will be very helpful for you. So before watching my next video, if it is feasible, you must read the chapter number 7, diversity in living organisms, from class 9th. Thank you so much for your listening.